Good morning. I would like to go over the agenda of the slides that we'll talk about. I will give you an introduction to PACCAR. We will discuss our enterprise application landscape, our IT business needs and drivers that drove us to choosing automated testing. We went through a software selection process, gaining executive support from our leadership, the approach that we took in implementing automated testing within our organization, the business benefits and savings that we projected as we move forward, and our future plans for expansion beyond SAP applications within our ITD organization, and how we went through promoting our team, and an introduction to Worksoft. So PACCAR has been 111 years of superior performance in the industry with 77 consecutive years of net profit. The results that you see on your screen are 2015 results for our company numbers. As you can see, we're a very successful truck manufacturing company. We have annualized stockholder return of about 15% over the last 15 years, and we regularly have quarterly dividends doubled within the last 5 years. PACCAR is a $5 billion, we had $5 billion paid in dividends over the last 10 years, which is very impressive to work for such a company. Here we have a graphical design of our enterprise applications for our SAP landscapes. We have an ECC system with multiple modules. We have an EWM system, a GRC, SRM, C projects, BI, PI, the SRM portal, and solution manager. And all of these landscapes will eventually tie into our automated testing processes. Part of the driver was our as-is manual testing process. Our regression testing, we had enhancement packs, upgrades, refreshes, major projects that we spent considerable amount of time testing manually. We were only able to hit key scenarios when we perform manual testing, and even with those key scenarios, we were spending approximately 4,000 hours on each enhancement pack that we had to test for. So every 4,000 hours consists of 85% utilization of our production support resources. So we were taking away from production support just in order to perform testing on our systems. Our projects alone go through an 8 to 9 week period for testing, creating tests, modifying existing tests, unit testing, and end-to-end testing. And we spent 10 to 12 weeks of just end-to-end testing with approximately 2,000 hours within projects. So again, testing became about 80% of our functional resources on projects versus actually creating and developing processes. Incidents, we have IRs come into our system, and annually we had an average of about 1,050 defects, and based on a Gartner estimate, each defect costs about $8,000. So those are some major drivers behind us choosing to move down the path of automated testing. Our goals for automation are to deliver faster, increase quality, expand our scope of testing, avoid project backlogs, and reduce resources. We went through a number of Six Sigma tools to go through our software selection process and compare multiple vendors. So one of the tools we used was a 5 Whys. Why does testing take too long? We had to answer multiple questions, and you get down to a very deep level of why you have such a problem in a specific area, which ours was testing. Another tool that we used for brainstorming was the fishbone diagram. These were parts of a Six Sigma package that we had presented to our leadership team in order to actually outline where our problem is within our team and where hours are being spent. We also used a comparative diagram to compare multiple vendors and decide which one meets our needs and fits everything that we're looking for. So here you can see we've compared our manual process against Worksoft Certify and 2 other vendors. And with all of the comparisons, Worksoft Certify fit all of the needs we were looking for. The other 2 vendors came very close. Well, one of them came very close. One of them it was kind of okay. But the overall goal, Worksoft hit everything, so that was pretty impressive, and that was our choice for moving forward. Why did we choose Worksoft? Beyond the criteria in the last slide, we did a POC with Worksoft, and the POC proved the ability to execute multiple scenarios in less time, the ability to reduce the number of testing hours by 80%. We were able to determine what to test based on graphs and reports within Certify, and our ability to record into Quality Center. So HPQC is our home of record for all of our testing initiatives, and Worksoft works very well being able to transfer tests into HPQC and keep that home of record in its place. We also wanted to prove that the tool was easy to install and maintain. So we set up a few scenarios with a couple different divisions for our POC, and we were able to prove that with Worksoft automated testing, we were able to gain a 99.1% improvement in our testing time, a 99.1% savings, of our testing resources. So it was very impressive going through the POC and discovering these findings. After the POC, we had to gain executive support, making our case for why we need to purchase this tool. We did multiple presentations, presented the annual hours that we spend on regression testing, enhancement packs, refreshes, and upgrades. We shared the costs that were spent annually on incident testing. We also demonstrated the savings from reducing project times and incident testing. And we made a case for an affordable, easy-to-use tool that could quickly be implemented and easy to maintain. So it was least painful for departments to actually jump on board with automated testing. Our approach to gather all of this information was to extract our selected scenarios from HPQC, since that is our home of record. We used our 2015 year-end and NFE testing scenarios that we had set up, and we did calculated all of our time studies from HPQC. We also looked at our refresh testing and our projects. So our projects we first tackled was asset accounting for automation, and we were able to get 100%, or our goal is to get 100% of our 2015 year-end testing eligible scenarios automated. At this time, our system refresh tests were about 66% complete, and we were able to complete our asset accounting project and have that fully automated as well. The 2015 benefits and savings that we had seen was a 33%. We have, as of 2016, we had 33% of our automation completed. Our goal is 992 test scenarios, which in 2016, 696 of them are eligible for automation, and we have completed about 232 between Worksoft and other automation tools. So our department has a goal of automating everything, whether it be in the use of Worksoft or other tools that we can use within multiple departments. Our future plans, so our 2016 plan was to get 80% of all of our automated testing completed. We have shifted our focus to end-to-end scenarios. We discovered that rather than trying to tackle the 2015 regression testing plan, that we would chunk it out and tackle it by scenario by scenario and make it easier for multiple configurators to be able to work together on one focused goal and get them automated. Right now we have 202 total tests that were created in 2016. We have another project that was able to capture 167 captures of their processes. Although they're not automated yet, the captures are available for us to move forward in the automation. We do have plans for lights out testing. We will be expanding the use of automation to other teams across our organization. And we are going to expand automation between beyond SAP applications. So other applications like Mainframe and Team Center are on the horizon. So promoting our team, we provide updates across all levels of teams, whether it's at our own individual department level or amongst management with other departments. We report on KPIs to upper level management. We produced training slide decks for our specific department that have audio recorded overlays, so our teams do not necessarily have to sit in a scheduled training class scenario. They can pick up these recorded slide decks, go through the training, and pretty much it's self-sufficient. And with the help of the training tutorials that are available within Certify itself as well. We also promote the benefits across the organization to try and get teams excited and on board and ready to jump and move forward with using Worksoft as their automation tool as well. And for our SAP team, we are setting the standard so other applications can utilize the tool. So right now, our SAP team is the only application using this tool in order to be able to set those standards. So I'm going to pass the slides to Reiner, and he will take it from there.
Well, thank you very much, Mickey. That was excellent. You know, we've just heard about one company's automation journey, and the chances are that you will not have exactly the same enterprise landscape as PACCAR. But what is likely the same is that your enterprise landscape is growing in complexity. You know, with the cloud, mobility, big data, digital applications, your company's dealing with a rate of change in technology that it's really never seen before. So to make sure every business process still works, you know, in the face of all those technology changes, the fact is that every process needs to be checked end to end, you know, and with the frequency that you've never seen before. And so obviously that's where automation comes in, because automation makes that possible. So next slide, please. So when it comes to business process testing, you know, the successful approach is one that's business process centric. As Mickey was saying, you just can't test bits and pieces and then expect the entire process to work, because today business processes cross many application boundaries. Next, you want to get going fast and build an automation portfolio fast, because things change quickly. So it's got to be easy and as efficient as possible, and that's what's going to get you to the 80% business process coverage that Mickey talked about as their goal. It's got to be industrial scale so that you can test all night, every night, to make sure that everything works in the morning and that the team's ready for business. Now, for global companies, the amount of automation that you need to run to do that can be enormous. So you need a way to handle it at industrial scale. And finally, you need a collaboration platform that allows your business people and the IT team to have the same conversation, to communicate about quality and status in terms that both sides understand. So in a nutshell, those are the things that you need for effective business process testing. So in closing, if there's only one takeaway from today's session, it's that it's possible. It's possible to reach very high levels, 80, 90% coverage of core business processes. It's possible to check them all every day or every night if you need to. And it's possible to do what PACCAR has done with automation, which is to boost quality, shorten projects, eliminate the manual work, and do that all at the same time. So it's possible. Well, I guess for Mickey and myself, we thank you again for joining today, and I'd like to open it up for a few questions and turn it back over to you, Steve.
Okay, nice job. Excellent presentation. Before we go on with our audience Q&A, though, we'd also like to ask our audience to please fill out a feedback form survey that should now be appearing on your desktop. To complete this form, just press the Submit button at the bottom of the page, and we thank you in advance for filling out this form. Your participation in our survey allows us to serve you better in the future. And now on to the question and answer portion of our event. As a reminder, to participate in the Q&A, just type your question into the text box located below on the bottom left of the console and click the Submit Question button. Okay, and it looks like we have a number of great questions lined up, so let's get started here. First off, question from Sherry. 167 captures for a CPPC project. Which tool was used to capture the processes?
So for that project, we actually used the Analyze tool from Worksoft, which is available in a separate platform. And shortly after the captures were completed, we opted not to use Analyze, but we still have the captures available, and they are within Certify, so we can still use them.
Okay, thank you. Sudha has a question. How did you gather requirements before you started to automate?
It was just knowing the need of every year we spend so much time, especially at the end of the year, doing regression testing and enhancement packs and upgrades, that we really just knew that we needed to move forward with something else that was going to happen, or something else that was going to help us. So we just did analysis. We gathered time studies from our HPQC. How long does it take us to test? And then we started just reviewing other companies and seeing which best fit our needs.
Okay, thank you. Tammy wants to know, what is the eligibility criteria for a test?
We use the criteria of, is it repeatable? Is it something that we can run over and over in our system without affecting something else? So scenarios like month-end close and year-end close for accounting, we don't automate those scenarios because you can only process those one time. Also, we have excluded any sort of manual intervention, like looking at a form and being sure that it's printing out correctly, or verifying that a label has the correct information on it. There's not really much you can automate when it takes a physical eye to do some of those validations. So those sort of scenarios are eliminated out of our eligibility.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, question here from Prasad. Does Worksoft support SAP Fiori?
Hi, so
I'm
I'm
going
here.
to let Reiner answer that question.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and the answer is very simply yes, it does.
Excellent. Question here, how much time did it take to complete the asset accounting project automation effort? In hours, basically?
I don't have an estimation of hours. We did, the asset accounting was, it was a two-phased approach. So we basically had a goal of completing a number of scenarios, which wasn't necessarily monitored by hours. It was for this particular project, because it was our first project getting going with automation. We just wanted to make sure that we got all of the testing scenarios that applied automated. And so we did meet our goal, and there really was no time study per se on it. But I can, there was also, we have to take into consideration that for that project there really was only one automation configurator. And so it took a little bit longer than we would have hoped for if we had multiple members of our team in Worksoft configuring tests, which we do now, but asset accounting, like I said, was our very first project, and we were just getting going with automation. So there's a few bumps we had to get through, but we were able to get through it successfully.
Great, thank you. Katerina wants to know, what is the technical level of team members creating and running the scripts? How easy would you rate script maintenance on a scale of 1 to 10?
1 being not easy and 10 being very easy. I would probably rate it at maybe about an 8. I mean, there's not too much technical detail that goes into it. Some things, like if you're used to writing logic in some programs, then certain steps when you're configuring might be a little bit easier. But it's definitely not like a development required technicality when you're starting to configure these tests. Pretty much, I mean, we work in an IT department, so we have very high skilled individuals that work around us, and so I mean, we have not pushed this out to the business users yet, so I can't really gauge how easy it would be to pick up for a business user, but I can't imagine it would be very hard at all. It really is a very simple process once you get a hang of it.
Great. Shankar wants to know, during projects, do you automate the new functionality test sets before you go live or after go live?
We have set our project plans to automate before they even move into the next environment. So definitely before go live.
Okay. Let's see. Aji wants to know, what are the issues? What issues were there for portal automation?
We're currently working with the Worksoft support in trying to resolve some of our portal connection issues. We are able to connect to the portal, but we're having some problems with the definitions and definitions being transferred into the test objects correctly. So, that's kind of a case-by-case basis because of the way a lot of companies use the portal. And PACCAR we have customized some pages of our portal as well, and some portions of pages. So it really is a unique case to each individual location, I believe.
Okay, Carlos wants to know, what is the business resource time commitment for a project to automate testing?
During the planning phase. During the planning phase of the project, we have expectations that the project managers are going to consider and plan that resource already ahead of time within their project.
Okay, thank you. Katarina's back again. Do you have dedicated resources for running and maintaining the scripts?
Yes, we currently do. And that is definitely highly suggested in any organization, in my personal opinion, that you would definitely need dedicated resources.
Okay. Does Worksoft have inbuilt ready-to-use tests for very frequently used T codes, such as VA01 or MM01?
Yes. Worksoft, when you install, comes with a set of master content tests, which are basically just that exact same thing, a set of sample tests that you can use. One of the things that we experienced in using some of these sample tests is that, the sample tests are built on mostly SAP standard functionality, but as we all know, even within SAP, there's multiple ways to do the same exact thing. So PACCAR has, we have our way of doing things, which a lot of times was slightly different than the way the master content was created. But for the most part, you still can copy the master content test that is configured already and make your own tweaks to fit your own business needs. So some of them we've used, some of them we didn't use. Sometimes it just made more sense to just quickly process a capture and create our own steps. So it just really depends on your business processes and how much do you actually have to modify that master content test to make it worth it.
And to build on what Mickey said, next week is SAP TechEd, and at TechEd we're announcing a new capability called process mining for SAP, and that will actually let you look into the SAP historical data based on actual user transactions and extract sequences of transactions, business process paths, bring that directly into Worksoft Analyze, and then you'll be able to use it in Certify for testing, functional testing, and for analytics and process optimization, just deeper insight into the actual SAP business processes. So that'll be announced next week. I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag here, but we'll have webinars and material on that for anyone who's interested.
Okay, fantastic. Jersey wants to know, does the Worksoft testing approach provide reports about performance of the testing scenarios?
So performance in what sense? Like in what context are you talking about performance? So there are multiple reporting tools that you can use on the results of your tests. They will provide all of the results, whether summarized or at a record set level, or even at a detailed step level, which includes the start time and the end time of the test. So I guess performance could be a perception, that's different from one of the others. So,
Mickey, when I saw that question, I was thinking that referred to like speed of the systems. So, just in case that's what it was, Worksoft does have performance testing software where you can actually emulate thousands of transactions in SAP, and then you can measure the performance of your hardware, software, infrastructure, networks, all that. And so we've got people using that, and that's a service Worksoft provides. So that's one thing. And at our customer conference in a few weeks, we actually have a Worksoft certified customer talking about how they use Certify to load transactions, thousands of transactions and emails into their load runner system so that they can use load runner because they've got that in-house to do performance testing and to basically test the speed of the user experience. But Worksoft does have performance testing services for people that want to do that.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Does the Worksoft tool support warehouse management, logistics, and material management in SAP?
Yes, definitely. We use not only WM at PACCAR, but we also have a location that uses EWM, and so we have not seen any issues configuring tests between the two.
Okay. And how big is your team, and how long did it take to complete the automation?
Well, our automation is definitely not complete, so we're still working on completing. And really, I think automation probably will never be complete, just because we are constantly moving changes through our systems, enhancements, and such. Our automation team, we choose different team members based on an end-to-end scenario that we're currently working on. So right now I have a team of 4 people working on an order-to-cash process. Once we move into a P2P scenario, then some of those individuals may stay on to the P2P end-to-end project, or we may swap out some different individuals based on skills and modules that need to be supported. So right now it is, I would say, about 4 people.
Let's see. How do you use Worksoft for incident testing?
Incident testing, we use it in a sense that if we have an incident that gets reported and we know that something may affect this particular portion of the system, then we may use it just for regression testing or to prove out if there is an issue. But most of the time for incident reports specifically, it is if we have tests available that may fit into that scenario, when we go to attempt to resolve the incident, if there's any system changes, then we would run any tests that would fall into those scenarios against the system just as a check while we're testing for that particular IR.
Brad has a question here. Does the new business process monitoring capabilities utilize UPL data from the SAP systems? And what other platforms can you monitor?
Reiner, I'll move that one to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with that.
Okay. Well, maybe somebody can get back to him.
Yeah, we will. Mm-hmm.
That's great.
For sure.
Let's see here. Gary wants to know, not sure if this was asked before, but can test results with essay screenshots be saved as a PDF?
Yes, you can save your screenshots within test results, and you can generate a PDF of your results. One thing to keep in mind if you are saving screenshots within your test steps, that screenshots take up a considerable amount of space in your database. So what I've instructed our team to do is if you need to save information such as an essay number, then save that property into your record set rather than taking a screenshot, because you can also do different kinds of reporting off of it, and then you're also saving some space in your database. So if that's the only reason you're taking a screenshot is to capture either a sales order or scheduling agreement number that may have been created, then it's easier to capture it and save it within a variable in your record set.
One thing I wanted to add here is that many people use the Worksoft platform to capture the business process for documentation purposes. So, if it's used for testing and it's used, every day or every week for testing purposes, you can be sure that the business process is fairly accurate. And then, with the push of a button, then you can generate documents around that business process that include, every step, screenshots, and everything that go along with it. And people do that for training purposes. Some, pharma companies use it for compliance purposes. And such. So that's another benefit of having a business process in a platform like that.
Is it possible to test web service data flowing into SAP?
Test in a sense that you could validate, I believe, unless Reiner has some more information. I know you can validate information within SAP.
Okay.
No, that's right, Mickey.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. What are your plans beyond testing SAP applications? What enterprise systems might be next?
The decisions are at a department manager level on what other departments are going to be next as far as our plan for beyond SAP. Possibly our Team Center applications and our mainframes are on the horizon for automating, but that could change. And somebody else could jump on board as well. So that just all depends on the individual departments and their managers and their own roadmaps and directives.
Okay. Could you share a little bit about your process for showcasing the automation results with leadership?
So showcasing the results with leaderships, we give presentations periodically to our leadership teams. We report on the number of new tests that have been created, the number of tests we've had to update. We have, for each individual end-to-end scenario that we identify, we treat them sort of on a mini project level where we have metrics for the project, which we line out. We actually use TFS as a tool for monitoring our work. So we assign work, and our metrics are based on, did we assign this test to get created, and did it get created, and is it running successfully, and has it been transferred to our HPQC environment for as the home of record.
Okay, looks like we have time for a couple more. How are you getting other teams across your organization interested in automation? Any recommendations?
We do demos. We actually had a couple Worksoft individuals come in and provide demos for all of our IT organization. So different departments, we set up some scenarios, and different departments could come through and just observe what the tool can actually do for us. We talk about it. We have little signs all over our building that, little caricatures that automate everything, and just kind of put out there the excitement and the importance, and really stressing like how much your department is going to save just by testing. There are some challenges within some departments for testing, and so we try to outline that, Worksoft, if you're using Worksoft as your testing tool, then it's actually, some departments and some people may be scared of change, but this is a really good change and is a really good benefit for departments. So we just try to, like I said, get people excited, get people on board, talk about what it's doing for our team, how awesome it is to be able to watch a test perform itself within, 30 seconds on your screen when it takes, 5 minutes for a human to do it. So that's pretty exciting in and of itself.
Very cool. What are your plans for lights out testing, and what would you focus on?
Lights out testing, we do have plans for lights out testing at some point in 2017. We would focus, I think it just depends on what projects are going on at the time, but mostly focusing on system check type of tests. As it is right now, we perform on a weekly basis. We perform system checks where we have a specific set of tests that were created, and we use some of our system refresh tests, and we just run a bucket of tests to make sure that there isn't any issues that we may be able to find ahead of time in any of our systems versus our customers finding an issue and having to report an IR. We like to be proactive, and so we identified these tests ahead of time, and we run them weekly. But those same tests are what we would include in our plans for lights out testing.
Okay, I think we can squeeze in one more here. When you started with automation in OTC, how did you prioritize the test sets to automate? And did Worksoft identify the priority, or did you use UPL data?
Worksoft did not identify the priority, and we did not use UPL data. When we started OTC, we have a roadmap, and we know what projects are coming up, and so we specifically targeted our OTC project based on a location that we know is going to be a huge project soon. Actually, the project is already starting, and so we purposely targeted that so we would have tests hopefully available for that project to use and so they could reduce their testing time.
Okay, and does Solution Manager figure in your automation process, and if so, how?
So I'm going to let Reiner answer that question. We are in the process of getting our Solution Manager up and going, and so that connection isn't quite stable in our department. So I think Reiner can speak to that more.
Yeah, many companies use Worksoft with Solution Manager, and if anyone's interested in that in particular, we can be glad to show you how that works and talk more about it.
Very good. And I know we're running up against time. Reiner, do you see anything else or any final thoughts?
No, Mickey, thank you. It was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, excellent job. That is all the time we have. If we didn't get to your question during the live broadcast, then someone will follow up with you over the next few business days. We want to thank you for attending today's webinar, Truck Manufacturer Revs Up High-Speed Business Process Testing, hosted by SAP Insider and presented by Worksoft. Shortly after this live event, we'll send you an email reminder so you can access this presentation on demand. And on behalf of our guests, Mickey Modrow, SAP Center of Excellence Change Analyst for PACCAR ITD, and Reiner Musier, Vice President of Marketing with Worksoft, we want to thank you for your time and have a great day.